Thank you so much for having me in Q News. Definitely, this deal uh, used to represent a headache to the British government. The British Parliament and the British politicians were in a great disagreement, and there were views to not give up the British sovereignty over the islands, but the international resolutions, the United Nations, in addition to the high expenses endured by Britain by obtaining sovereignty over these islands, also the cost of the military base in Diego Garcia um, made the decision easy regarding the financial issues. Britain exited the European Union also given the economic gains as Britain saw their staying in the European Union means losses to the government and higher taxes for the payers. With this explains the British stance towards these islands, and also explains the deal and the US satisfaction with this deal in this regard, especially that Trump used to be against this and considered it a threat to national security. But after the meeting with the British Prime Minister, apparently there is an unannounced deal in
Now,
exchange
Sarah,
for
sorry for
allowing.
cutting in, but with Mauritius reclaiming sovereignty, what economic benefits does it stand to gain from this?
The financial or economic gains for Mauritius are very high. We know that there is a competition over the international trade between China and the United States of America. China considers its presence in this area a lot of gains. The international trade path proposed by China, and as it seeks to complete it on an international level at the same time, the United States is seeking reducing the gains that might be achieved by China economically and trade-wise in the Indian Ocean. As now the US considers that any deals to be done in this area would be a threat to national security and would weaken its chances to to make economic gains. Also, the military presence that, especially that this base was used in operations launched in on Afghanistan and other areas in Asia, and also in the military moves in different other areas. For Mauritius, it will have a lot of gains. It is a political victory that will be achieved by the new Mauritius president, which will gain political momentum for the ruling party there. Also, trade deals will be signed whether with Britain or the US, or the threat of forming a partnership with China and gaining economic advantages. This is about if the base will serve the national security needs of the United States or Britain by being present in this area, especially that it is highly significant for the national security with the presence of US troops being able to be close to the Arab Gulf and being able to moving to the Chinese Sea and the Pacific Ocean and dealing with any geopolitical variables and changes that might be a breakthrough to deal also with international companies and protecting the US and British interests in the region.
Now, building more on what you said, sir, how does the US UK lease agreement affect economic and military cooperation?
The United States considers the military presence in this region and among others, especially in the new US administration, promotes that the United States is a peacemaker and does not desire war, and also to gain economic gains. So the presence of US companies and increasing the profits and revenues of the United States, and also being present to keep the security for peacekeeping, or the sponsoring US interests in the region. So it's not surprising that Trump talks about taking over Canada or the Greenland island, or supporting the presence in the Diego Garcia base, these islands affiliated with Mauritius, for more economic advantages. We have seen the minerals deals with Ukraine. It is in the same regard to achieve economic advantages but through political pressures, and also stopping the US grants as a means, not for the political submission, but for economic gains, among other things related to the sovereignty of different states, or the gains or advantages to be gained by these states or by these deals. Here it's not about the military base only, but it means the readiness to go through this competition with China regarding trade roads. All the US projects to be revived in the region by the United States, to be present in the Middle East, in Europe, or in Asia, or only talking about money and economic advantages.
Sir, speaking of China, could
بالحديث عن
Chinese investments
الصين.
in Mauritius shift regional economic power?
Definitely, this US presence always seeks to maintain the US reserves of natural wealth, and promote what the US can do. If we connect this to what happened in Ukraine, the US exerted a lot of effort to besiege Moscow and Ukraine with sanctions, and started importing gas to other European states, and stopped the line that gives the gas to Europe from Russia, which might change in the future depending on the advantages to be achieved through the mineral agreements, and also the economic promotion of the economic relations for peace, which is the logic the United States is adopting. So that's why Trump is requesting investments and funds from Gulf states, among others, and he's trying to obtain some control in different areas around the world, whether in a conflict state or away or far away from the United States. It's only about economic advantages, and this is the new approach of the United States in the Trump administration. And during the Biden administration, the economic aspirations, pardon, in the first Trump reign, the economic aspirations were not as much, but in this second reign, the US administration considered it a very good opportunity to establish the US economic presence and what it calls the gains and losses of the Biden administration, and making up for the losses during the past 4 years. The US strategy is the strong presence to obtain more gains and support from partners, regardless of this influence on uh, trade relations. The competition with China and other states remain at risk in the future of the economic aspirations of the United States.